Well, hey folks, happy Monday. Nope, happy Wednesday. You can tell I'm on vacation, not only because I don't know what day it is, but because I'm not standing in an airport on my way to someplace else. Welcome to my backyard. Hey, I heard a great video this morning in which the speaker was talking about the difference between rules and standards. And I thought, man, that is a worthwhile conversation for us to have with our teams. In so many of the areas where I work, where we're talking about construction and we're talking about safety, we rely heavily on rules. And yet, even that word from the very get-go, it elicits a certain reaction. There's a feeling that I have, and it's not a good one when somebody tells me, hey, there's a rule and you've got to follow it. The conversations we have when people break rules, they tend to be, in my opinion, negative and somewhat disempowering. There's an authority figure and you ain't it, and that authority figure is telling you, you're no good, you broke the rules, and either you got to shape up or you got to go. It's kind of negative. Contrast that with somebody who says, hey, in our organization, we've got a standard that we expect you to meet. Now, right away, it's a different vibe, it's a different energy. I'm aspiring to meet that standard instead of resenting and resisting that rule. The conversations we have when somebody fails to live up to a standard or uphold a standard, well, they're a lot more positive. They're a lot more creative. They're a lot more enrolling. It's so interesting to think, why do we rely heavily on rules and not on standards? It could be, my working hypothesis is that rules are easier. They require a hell of a lot less conversation. They require less leadership. They require less relationship. You can just post a rule and then you're done. But you pay a price for it. Because everybody who reads that rule, everybody who hears about that rule, everybody who breaks that rule and has a conversation with you about that rule, it takes them down just a little bit. The message is, we're trying to control you. Whereas if you've got a standard, that requires a heck of a lot more leadership. You've got to articulate that to people. You've got to model that for people. You've got to have a series of conversations and hold people to account for meeting that standard. But the payoff is that people want to. People are motivated to. People are on board with meeting your standards, whereas they're much more likely to resist and resent and try and skirt your rules. I think it's an interesting conversation for us to have with our teams this week. What's the difference between a rule and a standard? And why do we so often choose rules in our organizations and not standards? I hope you found this useful, folks. I hope you have a great week. And as ever, please be safe.